Hey YouTube, this is Southern Prepper 1. This morning, eventful. I need to get back on the medical videos. About 6 weeks ago, one of the little guys hurt himself, had to have some stitches. I will be addressing that maybe tomorrow. What we would do in a grid down situation if you had to close up a wound. And what I have come to the conclusion is probably the best for preppers and people with not a lot of medical training. But also to have it in case you do find someone with a lot of training would make it a greatly improved chance of getting that wound clean, getting that wound put back together so you'll be less scarring. This morning, just a little while ago, my mother called me and said, "Get over here, your dad has fallen." So I didn't ask any questions, jump in the car. They are only a few miles away, so I get there very quickly. He had twisted his knee. He had an appointment, but the appointment's not for a couple weeks. He's been having some knee problems. Probably a meniscus or an ACL tear. So he went ahead and probably finished tearing it today. He had some rubber boots on that he wears in the garden. And he was on concrete and he went to pivot, and the grip is so good on the rubber boots it didn't pivot, so his knee rotated and tore. So probably a meniscus tear. I'm very familiar with these. I have had 4 major surgeries on my knees, 2 on the left, 2 on the right, just because the infantry destroys you. Constant weight, constant moving. So I know knee injuries. Mine are pretty good right now, so hallelujah. So I know what he's going through. So I rush over there, and he's in so much pain I really didn't want to move him. He didn't want to move in the sense of me helping him. We had to go up a little tiny hill and up some stairs into the house. So I called my son and I told my son, bring the walker. A bunch of videos back I talked about the walker and just starting to acquire medical supplies and equipment that you're going to need in a grid down situation. Well, guess what? We used that. So we took the walker over there. It was no problem for me and my son to grab my dad and just carry him nicely and easy and put him on the couch and get him set. We stayed there and did a few things for him because he's not going to be able to move for a while, and hopefully he has a good doctor. They'll move up his appointment till next week because he definitely has a tear. He's definitely going to have some type of surgery. And that gets into the point, probably the thing that most people are not prepared to deal with in a grid down bad situation is medical. And I need to get back on it and show you my clinic, show you probably the top 10, top 20 items that you need to have. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. If you're thinking there's going to be a long-term crisis, you better have these items. It's so much easier to have them, even if you do not know how to use them. And a lot of these things I'll be recommending, you can easily learn in no time how to use these items, and it will make a huge difference. And then having some other items, so people that have that skill can help you. The biggest problem, I've seen it, is not having the equipment. You will always have that doctor, but if he doesn't have his equipment, you have supplies and a lot of consumable supplies. You have no idea the amount of consumable supplies. When I was getting out of the military, I was back on Rear D, and I was trying to get out of there, and we had guys deployed, and they were coming back injured, so that was one of my duties, is just to make sure they went to their appointments, got the best treatment, followed up, had no issues, and I was there to help them, make sure any issues we could just get it addressed so these soldiers could get the best care possible, and they did. And a lot of soldiers would come back injured, would stay here. A lot of them were in Germany for a while, then they came back to Fort Campbell, and from there, as soon as they were able, we would get them on leave, get them home to their parents or their loved ones. And I had to get a lot of supplies for, we would go get everything they're going to need, because if they're gone for 6 to 8 weeks at the house for more recovery, they need a lot of stuff, especially bullet wounds needing to be changed multiple times a day, kept clean. A lot of supplies. I saw it. One single gunshot is going to use so much supplies. The average prepper won't even have enough for that. Not even close. So you're going to have to improvise. And I need to show you how to do that. What you can use to improvise. So you need to prep medically. So that was the first emergency. Well, that was the second emergency. The first emergency of the day was my daughter-in-law came and said we needed some hydrogen peroxide. One of the animals, one of the chickens, had a nice nasty cut, and she wanted to clean it and look closer at it. So that was the first one early this morning that she dealt with. But I opened the medical cabinet. Everything we need was right there. Think about your medical. It's the scariest thing out there. Anybody can prep with the ham. You can learn to take the test. Firearms, easy to do. Food's easy to do. Because they sort of got, do A, B, and C. Medical is, you got to do A, B, and C, but guess what? You better know how to do X, Y, and Z, and you have all kinds of complications, and it takes so long to learn. But you need to learn it. In a grid down environment, you might be the only help you can give your family or your neighbors. Let's hypothetically say my dad got injured during SHTF, or crap has hit the fan and there's no way to take him to the doctor. What are you going to do? Do you have enough knowledge, or do you have someone in your community that you could contact? His meniscus will eventually heal. It'll heal wrong. It'll give him problems. But are you thinking that long term? Are you thinking, what am I going to do? Do you have any type of braces? Luckily, I saved all my braces for my knees, so we could definitely do that to immobilize his knee. But is that the solution? Or you want it to stay moving so it doesn't lock up and heal wrongly? I don't have all the answers. What I'm trying to do is find people in my community. I know where a retired anesthesiologist is, not far from here, that are preppers. I know where a retired surgeon is. I know where a couple dentists are. I know a surgical nurse. I know another nurse. I know an old labor and delivery nurse. So what I'm doing is at least trying to find out where they are, make contact with them. Some people that I know that are in the medical field in a subdivision not far, they're not preppers at all, but I know that they work as a nurse. So to me, that gets written down, mentally put up here for sure. So, 2 medical emergencies today. One was a chicken, one was my dad. But are you prepared mentally? Are you prepared physically with supplies to deal with an emergency if you can't get that person to the hospital? Or are you prepared mentally and physically with some supplies to deal with an immediate threat of life before the ambulance gets to you? Do you know CPR? Do you know how to stop bleeding? Do you know how to apply a tourniquet? A lot of questions. Hopefully you got some answers. But I need to get back on medical because it's the scariest topic in the prepping community for us to deal with because there's so many variables. Thanks for watching.